Namaste, Guruji.
Namaste.
Guruji.
Namaste.
Guruji, how are you?
Fine. Kishore, did anybody contact you for chess coaching?
Yes, Guruji. I think the name was Vandana or Nandini, I'm not sure.
Vandana. No, another person. Wait a minute. Apart from that person, Kanchana?
No, Guruji.
Kanchana didn't, is it? Okay, she'll call you in a day's time.
Okay.
Guruji, are you planning to visit US soon?
Yeah, it is in the agenda. But God,
okay.
I have to go through the visa process. I have never had a visa.
Okay. Yeah, you should come to, anyway, you're coming to California because your son is here. So we are in California, so you should visit us. We'll come and visit you.
Sure, I'll be forming a WhatsApp group for people in California.
Sure. Thank you, Guruji.
Then we can meet up together.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Okay.
Is it in the near future, Guruji?
Yeah, must be. We are trying, once the pandemic thing is, in better situation, then we will we'll apply for a visa. And I've traveled to Europe and Hong Kong and Singapore, Malaysia, that's all. And then
is it going to be based on the professional work, Guruji, or is it on a personal note?
Personal, just to see my son, that's all.
No, the other countries, I mean.
Other countries are astrology related, yeah. But sometimes I went, they soon found me out and clients started coming and I could not actually do sightseeing because of pressure.
Guruji, your Guruji's name is, was he in Basant Nagar?
No, he taught me horoscope matching and gave me some insights into certain aspects of astrology, mostly marriage related.
His name is Sheshadri Nada Swamigal?
Sheshadri Nada Shastrigal.
Her disciple, she was in touch with me yesterday.
Oh.
And I asked her about you and she said, I don't remember, but she said one strange thing. I mean, she said that she stopped looking at horoscopes because of some impact on her. I don't know if that is true, Guruji. I didn't want to ask in the open.
You have to think about what happened to us when we are not into astrology. Have you thought about that?
Ignorance is bliss.
No. When people are not into astrology, when something happens to them, why is it happening to them?
Okay.
People don't think like that, right?
She studied for 5 years and then all of a sudden the family members told her not to look.
No, one of the reason is that it won't be in their fate to be an astrologer.
Oh, okay.
So when you try to do something which is not your purpose of life, your karma, your mind will react in such a way that it will soon find a way to put an end to it.
I didn't think from that point of view.
Yeah. So, once it so happened that near my old house, there is a neighbor to my, in that C8 Nagar, where I had the office and my residence. Residence was first floor and ground floor was office. In the neighborhood, that is right hand side to me, there is a cardiologist, a doctor. So those days I had the bad habit of smoking 1 cigarette per day. So I was wondering how much damage it will do to me, and I went and asked him. So he said, I asked him how many cigarettes can I smoke per day so that I won't get any damage. He told me, smoke as much as you want. I asked him, why are you giving me this reply? He said, look at my father. He died of heart attack. He had zero, no drinking, no smoking, no bad habits, only healthy food. And he died inside the bathroom. And I am the cardiologist, a leading cardiologist. I even did my separate research on heart, and I was not able to do anything. And so I remember that when his father passed away, he was crying for nearly 2 weeks, non-stop. Can you say why?
9 of affliction?
No.
We're talking about something else.
So Prahlad came suddenly, so he's trying to answer. His problem is he's a cardiologist, and he expects. I mean, he did not expect his father to pass away in a heart attack.
His own abilities, he's not able to.
Yeah, so he's angry with himself, and that's the reason why he's crying.
Guruji, did he have Saturn in the 12th house?
No, I don't remember his horoscope, though he did give me his horoscope. And I mean, it was not a professional reading, so I don't have a copy in my office.
Because I've heard that when Saturn goes to the 12th house, I think it's the 12th house, yeah.
No, but that is not the topic, Prahlad. It is not horoscope at all. So Kishore is asking the question, if astrologer is practicing, a lot of bad luck will come to the astrologer.
No, that was what that lady told me yesterday. She is also the disciple of your...
Yeah.
And having studied for 5 years and then all of a sudden, getting that sort of...
So we can even say when doctors are practicing, disease will come to them and their family. If you are a policeman, one of your child will become criminal. He will go to the police station because you are beating up people. So you can keep going on like this, but I mean, there's nothing else that can happen to us except what is there in our horoscope and what we did with it.
Probably the best reason is the one that you told, Guruji, that they were not destined to be astrologers in the first place.
Yeah. So when you're not destined, they will find their own methods of stopping it. See, for example, when I pursued weightlifting, it was too much of hard work, like 3 hours in the morning, 3 hours in the evening, lifting continuously. And today I think what a fool I am. I mean, I was. I still do foolish things even now, but that was height of foolishness. Later I was thinking the earth is holding the weight. Let it hold. Why should I pull it? For what?
Guruji's connection froze or mine?
Huh?
No, okay. For a second, I thought somebody's account got frozen.
Whose account?
Your account, Guruji. Yours is mine, I'm not sure. Okay, as I was saying, if I don't practice astrology, I feel like I'm getting bad luck. When I do it for people, I feel good. And things are getting cleared.
So what will happen if something happens in the family and an astrologer wants to escape being ridiculed by people around? He'll say it's all because I practice astrology and so the bad luck came to me. He'll say that. Because why didn't you see it? Why didn't you see?
Kishore uncle talked about that lady, right? That lady's chart, I have it.
No, not that lady, Sai, not that lady. This is a different person. She is also the same, she went to the same Guruji as our Guruji has gone.
No, I didn't have formal education at all. I studied everything by myself. I didn't have a guru. Okay. It was only maybe maximum 10 days.
Oh.
That's all. But, being, having a strong foundation, I grabbed as much as possible from him in those 10 days. It all depends, like if you are already up to the mark and then somebody comes to you in your way, you can grab a lot of things from them.
Yes.
If you are not ready, then the same teacher will be there in front of you for many years and you will not learn.
Perfect.
You understand? So I told all of you, right? I learned astrology totally by myself.
It's like learning chess all by yourself, right, Guruji? Even chess was also learned.
I learned chess by myself with books. I learned weightlifting with myself. Most of the things I learned myself. I never I mean, I had never the intention of even going to a teacher. Even in class, instead of reading school books, I'll read foreign books. I won't read. Then later I found out it might be due to the affliction of Guru in my horoscope, due to Rahu and Ketu. So it was like I had to find out by myself, everything. And in most cases, I got the teacher after I finished learning. Even in NIIT, when computers came into India, I got a home computer.
You mean in the 80s, Guruji?
Yeah, 85, 84, 85. When London released ZX Spectrum, I got it. I connected it to the TV. And within a short while, I was actually programming.
You would have used the cassettes then, I think, right?
Cassette for recording. And I mean, simple tape recorder, ordinary tape recorder. But I was more interested in the graphics part of it. And then I wrote games like Pac-Man, racing, car racing, all simple things. Then I did a lot of animation and beautiful animation, like what you could do only in C language today. I did all that. So when I went to NIIT, I was actually teaching the teachers there. They did not have any clue about what I was doing. So I wrote a artificial intelligence, interactive software where you type anything, it will give you a reply, whatever you try.
Like today's Alexa and...
and it'll be very sensible because I learned the logics of how we think and like that. So I was ahead of the class. That's why I got 100 out of 100. So for me, everything was like what do you say? Literally cakewalk.
You remind me
That is pretty incredible, right, Guruji? I mean, I can't imagine like difficult topics like you're saying, designing and astrology without a teacher.
Weightlifting also. When I think most of you already know this story, that when I went to a teacher finally to learn, how many of you remember the story I have mentioned in one of the classes, that I went to meet a weightlifting teacher because somebody told me, if you want to go to the next level, you need a teacher. You can't do it at home. You remember?
Yes, Guruji. And also, I also remember that when Mercury is in Lagna, the person does things automatically on their own.
No, it is new for us.
Yeah. So when I went to the teacher, this teacher is very famous in Tamil Nadu. He had trained a lot of Commonwealth gold medalists and silver Commonwealth medalists in weightlifting. And because of that, these people got jobs in railways. And when I went there, first thing he asked me to get out immediately as soon as he saw me.
Right.
The reason is he noticed that I went in a cycle made in France. So he looked at me and looked at my attire, my shoes. They were all, imported. They were all foreign and very expensive ones. My cycle was very expensive. I don't think anybody in Chennai owned any cycle like that. So he said, this is a poor man's game. You get out of this place. I'm not interested in teaching you. Then I had to beg to him, continuously. I've come here with genuine interest to learn. And so he started making fun of me, showing me to other students and said, look at this guy. He wants to learn weightlifting. He's so thin, because I was only 50 kg at that time. But then I told him there is a category for 52 kg. Oh, he studied the theory portion, from books he has read somewhere. So now he's acting smart. So like that, I had a tough time convincing the teacher. Then to put me off, he said, there is a weight there, go and lift it. And luckily for me, that was just 50 kg, which is my body weight. Because it had a 15-15 plate on either side. The rod is 20 kg. And so, I was very confident. So I went straight to the to barbell to just get admission, to just impress the teacher. And so when I went there, he said, wait, where are you running? Because looking at my body, he knew that I would not lift it. So he said, I'll give you some assistance. So he pointed at two people to stand on either side of me. I said, why do you need these two people? And again, he started laughing. Just in case you are about to put it on your head, these two people will save you. I said, but in my house, I do it all alone. And then he said, see, again, he's bluffing. And, those were the days when photographs was that, that original, you need a film and it's very expensive. So though I did have photos, I had taken one reel. In those days, it was 120 film, and I had some photos, but I didn't bring it. And then he said, okay, that's okay. I know you are a great guy. In spite of that, these two people stand next to you on your either side. And then he said, lift. So I was about to lift, so I widened my arms, like I widened the grip, which is called in weightlifting called snatch. And that means you will lift lesser weight than when you hold your hands closer to each other. Because if you have it like this, it's easier to lift a weight. If you have your arms wide apart, it's very difficult. That in weightlifting is called snatch. And then again, they all started laughing. He's trying to snatch. In Tamil, snatch pandrara. Look at this joker. But I didn't change my mind. I went for the wide grip. The hand spread across. It'll almost go to the edge of the bar where the weight is. And then I did exactly as it is in the books. It went flying upwards and I got up without any assistance. And then I put it back. Then he said, come here. Oh, you are a spy. You belong to that class. You come from there to my institute to learn about me. I said, which institute? Oh, he's acting. I know who trained you. So I had a tough time like this. And it was with great difficulty I convinced, I had to, tell him, no, it's all genuine. Then he said, I'll be, after a few months, he noticed the way I was improving. And then he predicted I'll be the Olympic, the first time a person will win an Olympic gold will be from India, and that is you. He said, you predicted based on my hard work and my strength. But then Rahu Mahadasha came. As soon as it came, I had a stomach problem because it is in the 7th house. And then there was an emergency appendix operation, appendicitis. And then when the operation was done, those days it was not that keyhole, no? You actually cut open. And then the doctor told you shouldn't lift weight for nearly a year. If you do that, you will be in trouble. I gave it up. And after I recovered from that 1 year, I went to the weights. And when I tried to lift the weight that would easily float in my hands, I could not lift. Then I thought, oh my God, I have to start all over again, training the muscles. And then I gave it up and, I went on to chess. I took up chess seriously. So like that, I drifted from one game to another. All that was to ensure that I will not become a weightlifter. I will not become a chess player. I will not become that or this. I have to be an astrologer. Okay.
Isn't it yes, Guruji, that you excelled in whatever you did, even though it was not your objective, but you excelled properly, right? Where other people...
That is because there are some features in the horoscope which allows you to do that. It is an attitude that you have to be the, if you want to be the best. and you will not give up at all. You want to struggle and try again and again. Now that's a typical Makara quality, because Makara quality is like that, hardworking, no? Saturn sign. So I have 7 planets there. Saturn is heavyweight or weight, burden. So, but today I'm thinking, why did I do all that? It was waste of time, I think. But it developed a character in me that I can fight. The reason for all that was a boy in school pushed me and I could not push him back because I was so weak. The typical bully guy. If you're weak, they attack you in school. So when I tried to push him back, he stood like a rock. I was not able to push him. That whole night I spent, thinking about it. It's so bad to be weak. Then I decided I'll become strong. Even now he meets me, in our school alumni. So he told me, Dhilip, your entire character changed because I pushed you that day. You understand? But will insult do the same thing to others? That's very doubtful. If people say you're no good, will you try to beat them, try to fight against it and try to win? Will everybody have the same intention? Doubtful. Because if people dissuade you, no, it's not going to work. You are no good. You will even believe it and then succumb to it. Not everybody will use such insults to come up in life. Okay.
Guruji, back to that topic on that lady. I think we need to check, Kishore uncle, we need to check that lady's chart and whatever Dasha thing that she was running. That could most probably contribute to why she was feeling that.
No.
And all that.
The real reason is everybody is having a karma. So many people have to be auto driver. So many will have to be a car driver. So many will have to be, cleaning the toilets. So many will have to do the waiter's job. So you cannot stop all that. So if you try to get into another person's karma, it will stop you from doing it. That's all. That's the answer. It is in keeping in this in mind, you should pursue astrology and find out why is he not doing this and why is that person doing that, is only from horoscope. But the actual theory without astrology is karma only. Karma is superior to anything. And to read karma, we are using horoscope. You understand?
This is not the first time I heard that. Even I think I've told Sai also about it some time back that I've heard this from other people also. Like, I don't know. And then this is the best reason I can give actually to them. Thank you, Guruji, for that reason. That they are not destined to be astrologers and they were doing something which they were anyways going to give up.
No, even otherwise, if something happens to the astrologer's family, or if the astrologer dies, or if the astrologer is poor, they'll say he's an astrologer. Why is he so poor? So what is the people's opinion about astrologer? So
I've had a similar.
I remember traveling. At that time, they saw an astrologer on the street. He's sitting there consulting under a tree, and he's having 2-3 people waiting. So my friends in the car said, if he's an astrologer, why is he so poor? So what's your answer?
You asked this, Guruji, so I know the answer. I won't tell it.
So don't tell them. Let's see if somebody else is able to say.
So Guruji, one of the Sastri girls I met, he said, don't do astrology because those who do astrology become poor. This is one of the dialogues he gave. And I know that he was wrong. And I also did not believe him because he does not even know Sanskrit, but he does all the homos and things like that. But so...
one of the reason is you all people, when you get in, there'll be a lot of competition. So don't get in. So dissuading others from coming into your, in your way. You understand? So you want to dissuade others from getting into your competition. So you say, this is not for everybody. Don't get in. So to dissuade me, my own parents and my family members told me, if you do this, you'll become poor. In fact, in a way, it is also true. In the beginning, it was true because I did become poor. Okay. But then that is not the explanation for all the poverty in this world. How many practitioners of astrology is there and how many poor people are there? So poverty doesn't come through astrology because by practicing astrology. Okay. So in that car, I told, if he's poor, it proves astrology, I said. And it took a long time for them to understand what I said. So the opinion is many people, even today also, nowadays also, they send me a message, I'm in deep financial trouble. So desperately, I want a consultation from you. You know what? How will I reply? Can anybody guess how will I reply?
I know, Guruji, so I won't reply.
Okay.
You told
Anyone else wants to try?
Oh, nobody knows it, I think.
So what do you get by going to an astrologer? Money. You'll become rich. So the astrologer is able to manufacture a karma for you, create a karma that is different from what you brought forward from your past life. Many of my friends in astrology, they are living hand to mouth. Many doctors are living hand to mouth. Many engineers are living hand to mouth. Many lawyers are struggling. And the same law has made some people extremely rich. The same medical field has made some people extremely rich. So is it in the line or is it something else? Movies. Look at the extras. They'll be struggling like anything. Sometimes I met some people who called extras. They said, we're going through so much poverty. We don't have food. Look at the rich actor, the hero. He's getting so much money that he's got enough money for the next 5 generations. He is also acting. I'm also acting. If somebody dies out of a disease in a doctor's family, how will you handle that? Suppose you are a doctor. So you're supposed to save them, right? That means there will be no death or no disease or death in a doctor's family. Yes or no? So in astrologer's family, there should be no such thing. There should be no poverty, no death, no failures. Everything should be perfect. Confusing, is it?
Somewhere that idea has percolated into the masses' mind that when we are playing with karma or when you're altering somebody's karma by giving them a guidance, definitely that has to, have an impact on us. And that is the reason why people follow that blindly. But looking at the explanation that you gave, Guruji, I think that logic is totally baseless. Everybody's karma is their own. We can't, share somebody else's karma, right? When you're doing good to others, astrology is basically like nothing like it's equal to what the doctors are doing. So if you're doing some good to others by helping them on the spiritual path, in what way will karma actually punish you? In fact, karma is supposed to be blessing you because you're doing a good deed. What karma is supposed to do, that we are doing it in a shortcut. Or we are teaching that same lesson via the language that we speak. Easily understood language. Why should there be a negative tinge to that? I don't know.
So when I told that this astrologer will be poor and he will always be on the street because his own karma will never permit him to become rich, and that therefore proves astrology, they could not understand what I said. Because for them, it is like that. So when people say that I want to consult you, I'm in a difficult financial situation, I'll say, if you consult me, you'll become...
More poor.
Huh?
More poor.
You will become poorer. And who told you an astrologer is going to give you money or a job? If I have a job to offer, I can definitely give you a job. But my office is already full. There's no space. If I had a space, then I'll give you a job. That way, because you consulted me, your life has changed. But in some cases, my own people have helped me in this. I've found jobs for amongst my friends' network. I used to say there is a guy who's finished his engineering, but he doesn't have a income. At least you can give him a temporary job till he finds his own way. Okay, send him to me. I'll give him a job. And this is the only way I can help. How can I change Saturn's position from house number 2 to house number 11? So people thought like that. Astrologers can change. Doctors can change. No.
Guruji, speaking of karma, so only 2 days back, I was watching a video by Swami Mukundananda, and he was saying this story where Indra wanted to build a very big house. And so he hired Vishwakarma, who's the celestial architect. And as Vishwakarma was building this house, Vishwakarma got exhausted by all the work because Indra wanted something that is bigger than any building in the entire universe. And as he was getting tired, he called upon God's help. So Krishna comes to Indra and he tells him, wow, you're building a very big house. How many Vishwakarmas did you hire? Immediately, Indra says, is there more than one Vishwakarma? Are there more Indras? And then what Krishna does is he brings like some ants to Swargaloka. And he asks, my lord, why are you bringing these ants? Where are they coming from? What are they? And Krishna says, these ants were once Indra. And now they are ants. And then he goes off. Then another sage comes. But the main point I want to say from this, historical text from one of our books is that even Indra, once his karma runs out, or if he does wrong karma, will end up as an ant. And also this talks about multiple, parallel universe and, so many universes that are there in existence, which now science agrees and that science comes in all the Marvel movies. Because all the Marvel movies and TV shows you see now, it will talk about these parallel universes and multiple universes. You'll have time travel and all this. But all this we have said it long time back. But the main point today I want to bring this up is because in that example, he's clearly saying Indra can become an ant by karma.
So also when Buddha became enlightened and when the many beings from the astral plane came down and fell on his feet, the Buddha reminded them that I am nothing special, though he was special. He says, thousands of Buddhas came before me and thousands will come after me. So it actually speaks about these things that you said. But this many Brahmas, many Indras, all this has been explained several times in Hinduism. You are not the only Brahma. Because then that proves there could be multiple universes. And the moment you say there is more than one Brahma. See, the problem is how will you limit the size of universe? How will you limit it? With a wall? Have you ever imagined this? Let's draw a boundary for the universe. How will you do it? A wall? How thick?
So
Beyond.
for us, it is like gravitation.
No.
Just
don't take your mind off this point. I'm telling. Just look at the universe and say it is ending at a point. Somewhere it is ending. How will it end? With what will it end? It has to be a wall, right? You can understand this? Okay, if you think there is no wall, it should be space, right? It should be continuous space. So it won't end at all. And it therefore can never end at all. Where can it end? It will never end. So there's no end to it. Same way, if you take time also, there's no end to it. Where will it begin? How will it begin? Because if we say it begins at this point, nothing existed before that. It always existed. Like in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Na jayate mriyate. Never was this, na jayate means Never was it born in the first place. Even to say that I'm born is wrong because you never born. You always exist. Na jayate mriyate va kada chinnaya. This was always there. So this is eternal. Hanyamane sharire. Even if you destroy the body, it survives. So you look at the universe. To stop it, you need a wall. If you say no wall, it is space. It cannot end at all anywhere. Because to end, there must be somewhere something to stop. Suppose you do a travel like this, you have to hit at something, right? Or you won't hit. If you won't hit also, it goes on continuously forever. Otherwise, you say no, at one point it will hit. It will hit something. Then if it hits something like a wall, then how thick is the wall? How much the wall will run? And beyond the wall, what is existing? How much miles will the wall be? No, it will only be 10 miles. Then after 10 miles, what comes? Again, space will come. Then where will that end? But the problem with the human mind is you cannot imagine something like that. That's the trouble. Why? Because we are finite. I know I'm born as a child. I will die. I'm looking at people who are dying. So I know it is finite. So it is very difficult to, it is therefore incomprehensible. You cannot even imagine that there is something called eternal. So what did the Englishman come up with? The scientist? He said, there was once a smaller than an atom. And that exploded. And that's Big Bang theory. But even they are also confused about how did that thing come in the first place. They have no answer. But just by observing the expanding universe, they say it must have started from one point. They're using science. But even that one single smaller than atom, when did that happen? 13
billion years back, but 13.5.
Close to 14 billion years ago. Before 14 billion years, the entire universe was packed in a smaller than atom. Can you believe this? How foolish. Because the same people say matter can neither be created nor be destroyed. How can you condense everything into a smaller than atom? And even if you condense, it existed, right? Again, from when? How did that come from? So in Upanishads, they say, don't break your head on all this because you will never find out. Therefore, they termed God as incomprehensible. You cannot find out. There are so many things you cannot find out in the world itself. You can't even find out how to handle this COVID virus. But you want to talk about the origin of the universe. You want to talk about God. I know there is God. And some people say, I know there is no God. He's so smart. But you won't even know how his heart works. You ask any driver, you know how this car works? I don't know. I can drive it. I was shocked when I asked the mechanic of my motorbike, do you know what really happens inside? Do you know how the petrol goes in and what it really does? No, sir, I don't know about that. If you teach me, I'll learn. Then I explained to him what really is happening in the engine, what the piston does. There's an explosion every second inside your car. Oh, it's like that, is it? So even without knowing any of these things, we can talk about and handle life, logic, everything you can. But at one point, you will be so confused if you start investigating. So in India, there is a beautiful statement. Don't try to find out the origin of God. Don't try to find the origin of a rishi. Don't try to find the origin of a river. From where this is river starting? There must be a point. So much of water is coming. From where? I want to find out the source. So don't waste your time.
Ruchimulam.
Yeah. In Tamil, they say, don't waste your time. Because if you go for the smaller than atom particle, then it must have existed from God knows from when, without exploding. And God knows why it was waiting there without exploding. Okay. So it doesn't answer any of our question. But Buddha
Same
was,
science also says
yeah, but
energy comes.
yeah, but Prahlad, Buddha said, though we have to talk about Saturn in the 5th and Saturn in the 9th today. Anyway, since we started this, what did the Buddha say? Don't waste your time on all this. You are inside a prison. Inside the prison, you are marrying. Inside the prison, you are producing children who are also prisoners. And then you are making sure they get married. And then the procreation happens. You send them to school inside a prison. Everything is happening inside the prison. Are you going to spend time investigating who built this prison? Or are you trying to get out of the prison? Will you try to get out of prison? That was the only thing. How many of you feel that I have to investigate how to get out of the prison? I'm not interested in finding who built this prison, when was it built, what, how was it built, which is the
Guruji,
correct thing.
Guruji, one more thing. The Swami Mukundananda, after the story, he said another thing. God does only two things. One is justice, another one is grace. Okay. Justice does not mean like if somebody does wrong, then something else happens. No. Justice is that everything one does, it's remembered. That is the karma part. So whatever one does, it is always remembered, and then that effect plays out in their next life. And even this Swami Velukudi, he also said a point where that even if pralaya comes and even if the world gets dissolved, the karma does not get dissolved. And when the world is reborn, and there are multiple worlds, so when the universe comes back again, then the karma will also come in. So the karma does not get destroyed. The karma is like eternal, and it is forever. So whatever good we are trying to do, we are also accumulating some negative, and the cycle goes on. And the only way to get out of that is by grace. So we say, God, we don't want justice. Please give me grace, as in destroy all my karma. And that is how one attains moksha. By surrendering to God and by saying, please don't remember all my karma. It's endless and will always be endless. Instead, give me grace.
Very good. So now let's get back to our class. How many of you enjoyed this discussion? Or you feel this is out of context? You can type your views. Before we get on with the topic, you have a chat option. Okay, within the chat, you can type your views. Do you want to hear such things or only astrology? When you become a serious astrologer, you cannot help but help discussing karma. How can you do it as a standalone? Jyotish Kasi, very good statement. There is only God. So later we'll discuss how much karma can be wiped off by God in some other session. Keep thinking about it. Food for thought is Sri Krishna lives, it's the other way around. The Pandavas live along with Krishna. Will you get that chance? If you were one of the Pandavas, how life would be for you? Because you are already having Krishna with you. Or if you are Arjuna, he is your driver. is your Sarathi. So what happens to your karma? How will you digest it if your son Abhimanyu gets killed in the war? God will wipe off your karma only if you are in 100% bhakti. It should be 100%. Complete surrender. Okay? Only then you let God wipe off the karma. Otherwise, God is also going to be a witness. He will not help you. There are a mix of students here. Some are level 1, level 2. Then we have people who are already practicing astrology. So kindly give some gap for students to do a little bit of an attempt to answer certain things, and then towards after hearing out some of the beginner students, then you can come in and say, no, I think we could have done it like this, and so on. Okay, so this class
Guruji, is there a specific, Guruji, is there a specific reason why you said Saturn in the 5th and 9th? Because in the past couple of days, all I'm seeing is affliction in the 5th house and people not having children.
No, it just comes randomly. Sometimes these thoughts come to me. I don't know why it comes. It just comes like that. Maybe you might have influenced it. Who knows? Okay. So no, there are reasons. When we decide on something, when you think about something, it has some seed, a reason for it, something that happened, something you observed over the years. Suddenly, it comes out of you one day. So Saturn in the 5th, we are going to first do with Saturn in the 5th and then Saturn in the 9th. But why are we doing it at the same time? 5 and 9? Because
Bhavat
5 and Bhavat Bhavam is counting equally from the same house. So I'll start to share the screen.
As well as the 5th and 9th are connected. Like one could be the past, one could be the future.
Yeah. So there are many reasons for saying that. So when you say 5th house, so
Purva Punya and Bhagya.
Yeah. Now, whenever you read anything like this, any textbook about Saturn in the 5th or Saturn in the 9th, we'll start with Saturn in the 5th. So always you should consider the possibility that every time the same Saturn in the 5th can have different resource. What do you mean by resource? I am inside this house. Therefore, I have this mic as my resource. You ask me to conduct this class in a hotel, I won't have this mic. I have to carry it. Okay, I won't have all those things in my... Suppose I don't have this iPad. This iPad contains a lot of files. Okay, so those of you who have not yet muted your mics, please mute. I can hear a lot of noise on the background. So this Saturn, when it sits, 1 minute, I think I'll have to silence Sorry. For the time being, I am silencing all of you. Then I will allow you to unmute and say something. So this Saturn has something else to take from. Okay, if you don't want to use the word resource, I'm in somebody's house, so I'm not the same. Right now, I am here as a teacher in front of you, so I will not do certain things right now. So depending upon where I am, my role will change. So you can say, can somebody raise your hand and say, I can give you a lot more examples of what do you mean when a particular planet is in a particular sign? What are the things I would say about it? Okay. So Prahlad, yes.
Yeah, Guruji, one day I was having this thought and I realized, first there are 12 flavors for each Rasi. The Saturn can mean something else. The association, the Lord, that it will change the entire reading. Like Saturn, if it's in Libra, it's exalted, then it's an entire different reading. And if it is in its own house, it's a different reading. If it is in, Aries, Mesha, then it's a different reading. Apart from this, then we have the Lord, the resource giver, the dispositor. Based on the dispositor can be in 12 Rashis. So that increases another 12 to the same dimension. And then you have the conjunctions that can happen next to Saturn, nearby Saturn, or near the 5th house or the 9th house. And then on top of that, you have aspects. So by this one single planet, there are so many combinations and permutations. We can't, it's not easy to judge.
Then how can we practice astrology if it is so difficult?
I mean, if we want a real depth, we have to look at all these elements and aspects. A good astrologer automatically sees all these parameters. And by that, they change the flavor a little bit. So if it is on Leo sign, then we say it is in the enemy sign. And then it is the 11th Lord coming in, it's the 10th Lord coming in. And that would mean certain things.
Okay. Let's see what Maruti Prasad has to say.
Namaste, sir.
Namaste.
Sir, I think we should first look at the dignity of the planet and the nature of the planet.
No, wait a minute.
Nice. Yes, sir.
When you say something like that, you try to
Yes,
add more points to it. Do not say it is with an enemy planet, it is with a friendly planet, and continue like that without giving something extra about it. You have to say, if it is in a friend's house, it'll give positive results, like that, something where after making a statement, you should say the result of it.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Okay.
Sir.
Now start again.
So if that particular planet is natural malefic and also functional malefic for that chart, and if it is sitting in a enemy's house or it is in Nicha, then it will give very bad results. But even despite being a functional malefic and natural malefic, if it is sitting in his friend's house or in Ucha, the malefic nature would reduce, I think, sir.
Okay. I was thinking about what would you say by quoting about yourself, that I am this person. If I am in this place, I have these things that may,
yes, sir.
possible.
Yeah.
This is a policeman, and if he's in a police station, he can do certain things. Whereas if he is in a golf club, what can he do? Or if he's in a bar drinking along with his friends, what can he do? So that same person, he is in a different situation, and that situation changes its function also, like what the person is capable of. So the same Saturn in the fifth. See, now right now you are seeing a chart with this is another fifth of Saturn. But if you read any textbook on astrology, where it says the result of Saturn in the fifth house, you have to give the same result to all of them. You understand? Everything you have to give the same result. If you say something about, but it is not, it cannot be the same, because you see Saturn is exalted in this case. Okay, there, if you want to add more dimension. So when it is exalted means very happy, joyful, very strong. I mean, I can do what I want here, because this is my, I can do, I'm not bound by anything. It's like I'm in a resort. So I can run here and there. If I'm on the beach, I can even wear a small dress and walk around. Nobody's going to even bother, because everybody is like that. Whereas I cannot walk like that in my office. I cannot be wet and walk in the office. So depending upon these things, so in a way, you can say this Saturn will grab something of this also. So that's why we use the word resource. I mean, there are several ways of looking at it. And from this alone, you get 12 different ways of Saturn being in the fifth house. So in this case, at least each of you raise your hand and say, I know Saturn in the fifth is capable of this. At least it is most probably going to be the truth. Even if you tell me it is like some like an 80% rule, 80% of the time it will give this result, surely, like that you can say. Okay, or at least 75%, something like that. Mostly, or use the word mostly, it will give this, even if it doesn't give. But for that, it should not be from your experience. You should quote some books, you should quote some authors, and then say, I've read it in, B.V. Raman wrote about it, or K.N. Rao said about it, or Maharishi Parashara said, or Varahamihira did say that, and so on. Okay, whatever you find from any textbook. So let's put down our hands and then start all over again. One thing that you can expect, and wherever possible, after making the statement, try to connect the logic on why the statement might be true, or what is the basis for the statement. Maybe it is because of this we have said, maybe the Rishi said this, or Sri Varahamihira said this, or Kalidasa said this, or Mantreshwara said this, only because of this. Okay. So before that, I want you to realize that this particular Saturn can be several ways in the fifth house. And this is only one dimension, just to keep it simple. If I bring in dimensions that Sai Prahlad said, no, sometimes, it can be more than that. It can be afflicted. It can be with another planet. Its dispositor might be badly placed. We are not going to that dimension. So because we have to start making some statements to do the stack up. You cannot say, no, I can never read at all this Saturn in the fifth. I mean, that is not a good way to be in astrology, by saying, no, if you ask me any question, I cannot say. That's because I need to look at something else in the chart, which means with a single combination, you cannot say anything. It's not correct. Even by just saying I am this particular Lagna, you can say 2-3 lines about me. If I tell you I am a Makar Lagna person, you should tell at least 2 or 3 things about me. That being a Makar Lagna, I expect you to be like this. And you look at somebody who's Karkadaga Lagna, Cancer Ascendant, you should say, I know, because you're a Cancer Ascendant, you must have these traits. And it will be correct only. So how can you say single liners don't work? Single liners don't work is not correct. Single liners work, but many single liners, if you keep piling it up one above the other, it will become so strong. It will become like, how you make a rope, smaller threads, continuously tied around, and it will become so strong and become very difficult. That rope will be very difficult to cut. That means fate gets stronger and stronger. If you find all the planetary positions and combinations and afflictions pointing to one thing, a failed marriage, too many things, fatherless, too many reasons, orphaned, poor, poverty stricken, too many reasons. That's different. But single liners like this, you should not say no to it. You must start off with single liners only in astrology. There's no other choice. It is like you have a large plate of, like what we call thali, meals. You cannot eat it at one shot. You never get frightened by looking at it. Oh my God, how am I going to eat this? I'm going to eat it little by little. And the entire thing will end up in my stomach. So like that, you say, I know, minimum Saturn in the 5th is like this. So now start all over again. Put down your hands. And if you want to say something about, I know for sure Saturn in the 5th can do this. So starting with Anu, because these two people spoke already. Prahlad, I'll get back to you. Anu will Parimi, right? If I pronounce that right. Yeah. Anu Parami, you are...
Sir,
we can hear you.
Okay, you can hear. Okay. Saturn in the 5th house, it's Putra Dosha, definitely. And it's aspecting 7th house. So there will be marital problems.
Okay.
Yeah, from 5th, it will be aspecting 7th house and 2nd house. So there will be problems in the family and...
Yeah, go a little slower because there are other people who might not follow. When you say 2nd house, you say 2nd house is family,
Saturn
house
aspects,
of family.
Yeah, house of family. Saturn aspects 7th house, which is a marital house. So there will be problems in the marital life. And aspects 2nd house, that's house of family, and there will be problems in that area too.
Very good. So it is what she's saying is this is the 5th house. You all know by now it is 5th house. Because I can write here 5 and I can write this as 1. House number 1, and it is clockwise you have to go. Okay. This is in the South Indian chart, it's so easy to go around like this. And from here, Saturn looks at this house. That's what she said. It looks at this house, which is what? The house of marriage. And it looks at, what did you say? One more thing you said. It looks at the 10th house from wherever it is. Because it looks at so many other houses, but Saturn looks very strongly the 3rd from itself and the 10th from itself. These are called special drishtis, special impact on these places. And then all planets look at the 7th from itself. It looks at the 11th house of desires and 2nd house of income or poverty or kutumbasthana, kutumba. Don't you see this? This Saturn is so strong. It's able to influence a lot of things by being in one particular house, like house number 5. It's capable of influencing our kutumba, our children, our desires, and our marriage. I don't think that, in any other situation, you can show me a similar example of one planet afflicting all the houses of whichever we consider as the most important in our life. Very good. That's a good way to start, Anu, because you not only pointed out to this fact, but you said you connected it with the explanation part also. Okay. So can somebody add a little more to this? If nobody is there, we'll go back to Sai Prahlad and Maruti Prasad because they're waiting. Yeah, it looks like there's not. So yes.
Guruji.
Yes.
Now, 7th house, it not only represents, spouse, it also represents trade, businesses. That's why Sage Brihu says that the person will engage in inferior trades. The trade deals that they do will be inferior. Now, Sage Brihu starts off by saying the native will be Chinese.
And where is the word, where is the logic of inferior? What is inferior about Saturn? Do you think Saturn is inferior?
See, Saturn is about serving, right? So maybe the person will be like serving the other person or not themselves. In business, you're supposed to make yourself better. And maybe that could be one of the reasons. Or the Saturn's placement, if it is not a strong, well-placed Saturn, then that rule might apply.
See, when it comes to astrology, we should not be afraid of saying something. Saturn is inferior. There's no denying that. You know what all the things he connects to? He connects to the toilets, to the excretion, to the urine, to the feces, and to so many things like that. The bottommost in any society. Therefore, it is inferior. He connects to fish, poultry, foul smell, molasses, tamasic, all the food that makes it, tamasic, like distillery, all the bad smelling things. And
adding to the point.
It rules death, which is actually, foul smelling. When somebody passes away, in the movies they'll show when the police goes into that room, they'll all have a handkerchief next onto their face because they can't bear the smell. So it is inferior. So whenever you read astrology, you should keep an eye on these things. Oh, like now Prahlad said, why did he say the person will do inferior traits? That is because when Anu said it is looking at the 7th house, Anu related it only to marriage, but Prahlad says it is also the house of trade, 7th house. So he says Saturn is looking at the 7th. So this could be very useful to you when you are trying to figure out the livelihood of a person, when you see Saturn involved. I know a Brahmin who has a very strong Saturn influence on the house of trade, and he's a rich man because of fish, selling fish. His entire life he has sold, in millions. He's in the fish trade. An Orthodox Brahmin from Chennai. So,
Guruji, that would mean that we can say that the person, if they come to a consultation asking what trade they should go in, we should connect the trade with that relates with Saturn.
Yeah. No, but you not know whether it is poultry, it is a fish, or any other inferior trades. It will be labor intensive, like you need a lot of laborers because Saturn rules a labor class. In our caste system, but actually caste system is division of labor. So he rules the Shudras, the low caste. But it's not about casteism. It is about the bottommost in any hierarchy, from top to bottom. Who is on the top? The sun is at the top. The king is at the top. And Saturn is at the bottom. Even in Naisargika Bala of Shadbala, Saturn gets the lowest point. Have you noticed that? And Sun gets the highest point. Okay. So
Guruji,
that's the logic.
Continuing with Bhrigu Sutram, the first statement is the native will be childless and very poor. Now that we take the word very poor, the Saturn is looking at the 11th house. So the 11th house becomes inferior. Maybe is that the reason why?
What about second house of income?
Yes.
Okay. Now comes a very important point. How many of you have Saturn in the 5th? Raise your hands. And how many of you will accept that? I'm not asking you to raise your hands. Okay. I'm just telling it for the whole world. How many of you will be childless? No, you'll be surprised. You're not childless. You're not even an inferior trait. Then what is the problem with astrology then? So that is the next question. Why is it not working perfectly? But at the time, in certain times when you say something, it is so accurate. How? How does that happen? Or why does that happen? So how do you use this? For example, let's stay with one line. Now, Sai Prahlad quoted from Bhrigu Sutram, and he says, Saturn in the 5th, childless. Why? Because in the class I have taught several times that the first line The first word that in any sloka, the first thing of anything in a chapter, the first sloka will be the most important thing about that chapter itself. So the first word will be having the greatest impact. So when Bhrigu says childlessness, it is hinting at childlessness. So just point blank reason, why would Saturn in the fifth be childlessness? Without telling any other reason. Just Saturn in the fifth. Childless. Why?
Guruji, so again, second house is family, 11th house is, fifth from the 7th. That's also indicating of children of the husband. And so with that connection as well, we can say that this is problematic.
No, with simple logic we could have used, no? Saturn is a blocking graha. Always Saturn is a blocking graha. He blocks. So blocking fifth house, that's all. Fifth house of children. No more explanation. No need to look into any other thing. Because the statement is directly aimed at the house itself. When it is aimed at the house, what else you need? You don't need any other. But maybe if you want to find out why did he say like this, then you say, I know the reason, because we all want children. Therefore, it is desire. Who will not want children after marriage? Especially in India, your life will be miserable that if you get married and don't produce a child. It'll be really miserable. It'll be a torture. So,
Guruji, Bhrigu further continues by saying that not only inferior traits, but also will adopt a daughter. Is there a reason why he says specifically that they will adopt a daughter?
Okay. Let's see if anybody wants to say something about it. Why? Now Ashwath wants to join and Kishore is also waiting. So why is Ashwath is going to answer why Saturn in the fifth is the Bhrigu says may adopt a daughter. Why is he saying
because
daughter?
Saturn is a feminine planet. Female planet.
Okay, we'll think about it. Okay, first of all, let's break that into two statements. Two parts. First, adopt a daughter. Where is adoption coming from? What is the logic behind adoption?
When he is childless.
So when will a person be childless? What must he have done in the past life? Common sense. It's called reverse engineering. If I used to fail in my Hindi in my class, what did I do to fail in Hindi? I didn't do. That's the problem. Okay. So you can easily guess I didn't study. Or you want to say, no, you studied very well. Didn't study is only natural, right? That should have been the. So what would this person have done to become childless?
Didn't take care of the child in the past life properly.
Can you slightly extend it by a little more by saying what else he might have done?
Like he made them suffer. He didn't maybe tortured kids. Maybe somebody else's kids also.
What would be the highest sin when it comes to children? Killing. Okay. Killing means you say, I don't want, right?
Forcefully aborting.
Yeah, aborting and throwing it away. Don't want. Leaving it off. Even in movies you see, they just put it into the dustbin. A just born baby. Now, Kishore also wants to say something about this because he has already raised his hand. Yes, Kishore.
Guruji, I would like to quote from volume 2 of Saravali with your kind permission.
Please. I want more books also. That was the objective. I want to, give fair chance to all the students. If they have more and more books, please quote it. And meanwhile, when you're not talking, others can type it into the chat, whatever you want to say, because some of you might be very shy to open up in a forum like this and say, those of you who have this problem, you just type it out in the chat, because When I make the video finally, edit the video, I'll put all the chat at the end of the video. I've been doing that off late. Okay. Yeah. Please continue.
Okay, so this is page number 530 in Saravali volume 2, and it is authored by Mr. Santanam.
Very good. R. Santanam.
R. Santanam. Okay, and in that they say Saturn in the fifth.
Very good.
Should Saturn occupy the fifth bhava, the native will be bereft of happiness, sons, friends, intelligence, and kindness, be agitated, and be poor. So in the notes, there's a beautiful explanation given. Should Saturn be in the fifth house in a nativity, the subject will not have happiness from progeny. He will be a heterodox, he will be foolish, unfriendly, be always sick, be troubled by debts and enmity, will lose wealth in securing others, and will not have a happy marriage. And see what Rishi Garga says. If Saturn is in the fifth, in an enemy's camp, all the children of the native will be destroyed. If the planet be not combust and be in an exaltation sign, the native will beget a son with difficulty. If he be in the fifth, identical with Aquarius, there will be acquisition of 5 children, and if in Capricorn in fifth, there will be 3 female children. Another authority states that Saturn in the fifth, identical with Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, or Pisces, will make one adopt a child. It follows that Saturn in a dual sign in the fifth will deny altogether a child of one's own loins. A female with Saturn in the fifth will be devoid of progeny. That's it, Guruji.
Very good. I remember this rule because I used this once to predict to a very popular astrologer himself that in this life he will not have a child. It was based upon what you read just now, in spite of Jupiter aspect on the fifth house. I'll maybe if you remember this, I can just draw the 3 points of reference alone, just to say how powerful this duality sign is, so much strong. But I failed to actually understand the logic behind it, even though I've been seeing and noticing it is working. Okay, now thank you, Kishore, for revealing this from Saravali. Now the point is, before continuing any further, I would like to tell you, if in this all these statements, if let's say you some of you find some other books to quote from, and together after getting as many references as possible, can we come to a conclusion that these are commonly said, and then discuss only the common points that everybody says, the same thing? Now the point about number of children, it is, sometimes astrology is also like statistics. In the times when the author lived, he could have noticed so many daughters and so many sons, so he might have formed a rule like that, number of children. But today we know the number of children thing is not so accurate because we are curtailing the number. Nowadays we only have 2 children, and so as far as number of children is there, let's learn to just skip that portion, but look at all other things about whatever is being said. Okay, very good. That's a good attempt. Anybody else? Raise your hand if you have any other book to refer to.
Not even finished with the Brihasutram. See, Brihasutram further says if Saturn is in his own sign, the native will have daughters. If Saturn is aspected by Jupiter, the native will have 2 wives. And it says the first one will be issueless, and the second one will give birth to the daughters.
Okay.
And if Saturn is strong, the native will have affairs with many women.
Okay.
Now, does it also include for men or only women? Anybody who knows Sanskrit can.
No, it's not like that. The book was written by men, therefore they had this way of writing it out. But you can simply change it to the opposite, depending upon whose horoscope you're reading. So the correct way of saying husband, wife, and all this, you should simply say spouse wherever possible. Okay, so it's better. But the translators will always use the word son for children most of the time, and wife for spouse always. But if it is a lady's chart, one of the reasons might be those days ladies never read their chart, and ladies have, in terms of gender, percentage of men into astrology, women into astrology. Do you think it is 50-50 even today? Or it is 75-25? Which is correct? Oh, okay. Now I'll do one thing because I'm finding it difficult to mute and unmute. I hope you people will not make so much noise again. Okay. So when you're not talking, please be on mute. Okay. Raise your hand. Even now we'll use the same idea. Raise your hand. And you can easily find who has raised the hand. And you speak. And then say, I'm over, I'm done. Then put down your hands. Yes.
Sir, can I say something, sir? Please
go ahead.
Sir, I'm looking at Phaladipika by Mantreshwara.
Very good.
Which is translated by Upadrashta Kameshwara in Telugu.
Oh.
Yeah. So it clearly says if Papi is in 5th house and he is the owner of 5th house, then there will be a child. So that is good for having child. And also,
is it about general malefics or is it about Saturn in the 5th? Because Papi, the word Papa
general malefic,
means
general
malefic. Any malefic, yes, like sir. Sun in the 5th, Mars in the 5th. Okay.
Yes. And also it goes further and says that if there is another Papa Graha which is coming and uniting with that Papa Graha which is already in the 5th house, there will be multiple children. And in another shloka, it is said that if the 5th house is of Buddha or Shani Kshetra, that means owned by Mercury or Saturn, and there is a high chance of Dattaputra Yoga, that means adopted children. And if at all there is a Yuti of Mandi, then the chances increase high.
For childlessness?
For the adoption.
Oh, adoption. That is the condition that it should be in Mercury's house or it should be in Saturn's house. Okay.
So it should be Mercury or Saturn's house. 5th house should be Mercury's or
and
Saturn's
then Mandi
house.
Also along with it.
Yeah. So first of all, it should be Mercury's or Saturn's house. Then Mandi and Saturn or one of them should see the house. Then there is a chance of adoption, is what is written by Sri Upadrashta Krishnamurti. Kameswara. Sorry.
Very good. So, while the first statement itself, most of the people are talking something about children problem only. And then looking at childlessness, then if somebody is childless, they will not keep quiet. They want children, so they adopt a child. So, it is almost like everybody is hinting at the same thing. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you a chart of an astrologer who's quite popular and very, he's a great scholar. There's no doubt about that. Okay, so he has the ascendant here and he has Saturn here and Jupiter here. So this person does not have a child. Why? Sai Prahlad?
Guruji, I have an exact chart, the same thing, Saturn, but however, in my chart, it is in Kumbha moving to the 5th. Now, coming to your, to this chart, I think Kishore uncle or somebody was saying when Saturn is in a dual sign, that is playing out here. And also the 3rd and the 4th lord is going to the 5th.
Okay. I'll tell you why I predicted childlessness for this person is using common sense. You understand? More than astrology. What do you think about Jupiter's aspects of the ninth house drishti on Saturn? Should it not give a child?
Sage Brigu says they'll have 2 spouses.
2 wives. And the first
2 wives,
wife,
yeah.
and the first wife will be barren.
Yes.
The first wife will not produce a child. Now you have to know how to read astrology in between the lines. What if the person is such a traditional Hindu who refuses to marry one more time?
Then no child.
That's
He
what
will be
happened.
childless.
That is why I know the character of this person. He himself was not at all inclined to the concept of women. I mean, the lady part, the opposite sex part. And there is no way you can make this person marry again. So because I know his habit, because if it is another person, I will not be able to tell for sure there will be childlessness. Because then I'll think, what if he marries again? And from the second wife, he might have daughters. So that is a possibility, because Jupiter always solves a problem. Because he's looking at his own house, which Saturn got. Usually when it comes to drishti versus occupant, always the occupant has more effect on that house than anything else or anybody else. In the same way, in Indian property, you will see somebody, even in my apartment, there is a guy who's telling me, somebody got into his house and he's saying he's the owner. And he's having a very tough time with the government and all that. He's shelling out a lot of money to just get that guy vacated. Because he says, I cannot use any other method because he's so strong. The law protects him. Because the police is saying, no, wait, we do not know who's right. Maybe it is his house, who knows? And this and that. So you go to that authority, go to this place. And so the occupant will be a source of trouble. So Saturn will be a source of trouble. So another reason could be, okay, in that example of lordship of, if the fifth house happens to be Mercury's house or Saturn's house, that logic is taken from these 2 grahas are eunuchs. So eunuchs tend to childlessness, right? They can't produce a child. So it is taken from that idea that could add fuel to fire. Okay, already. So like that. And if you forgot that Saturn himself is a eunuch planet, so he's on the border of childlessness anyway. Can you tell about one thing that is very clearly showing that Saturn is against children by using one logic? Anybody? Okay, somebody who has never spoken at all. I would welcome such a person. And then I will let Ashwath Manjunath say. Why? By quoting another logic.
Guruji, right?
Yes.
Maybe because Saturn was born from Chaya and was ill-treated by Sun, could be the reason that he had a bad experience as child.
Okay, Neeraj, we will wait for someone else. If nobody, I will let you. This is how you have to think about in astrology, the logics and everything. You have to, when you get into deep analysis and arguments and debates, you should know about the various angles of a planet.
Sir, Saturn is in the second house. Is it restricting the expansion of family?
No, I know about all that, but why is it all so much against this? What is one single factor?
So because Saturn's nature is opposite of Jupiter's. Jupiter is all about expansion and expanding the family.
You're very
Saturn
close.
is more-
You're very close. You're very close, but not yet the best answer. It's still not the best answer, but you're very close.
Saturn is spiritual.
Yes, you're very close. Even spiritual, it's actually renunciation planet. I don't want children. I don't want wife. I don't want marriage. So Saturn is the Karaka for the top graha for renunciation, the 8th planet. You understand? So Krishna was the 8th born. He was born on Ashtami. Buddha spoke about the eightfold path. 8, Saturn, spiritual. And when Buddha's spiritual journey starts from when? He looks at his sun and stares at the sun and then walks away. That's all. Just the opposite of children, especially the son part, the attachment. Why daughter? Daughter is okay because it's not as much as the son. So Saturn is the Pravrajya Karaka, the renunciation graha, which is symbolic of giving up on everything. And definitely you will give up on your child because it's just the opposite. I don't want a child. So that is the reason why so much of childlessness topic is coming here. Also why Daridram is being discussed, why so much of problems, etc. If you use simple logics, 5th house and 9th house is called Lakshmi Sthana, prosperity. So therefore, you read all about all these things. Okay.
Sir,
But then somebody read from some other book. If it is well placed, it is quite different, right? Sai Prahlad, does Sage Bhrigu also say something nice about Sun Saturn in the 5th? At least one line. One line. Yeah. So let's do that. Yeah, tell me, read the line.
Yeah. If Saturn is in his own sign, the native will have daughters.
Shall we put it like this? So here comes a very important point. Sometimes, like most of us think exaltation is the highest point for any graha. In a context, it is, but not all the time. Here, does he say Saturn is exalted in the 5th? No. He says Saturn is own sign. Most of the times, own sign is better than exaltation. Own sign. I'm in my house. What do you think will happen to my house? I will make my house prosper. Exaltation doesn't happen in their own house. It is happening in someone else's house. Maybe you understand. Saturn is exalted in Venus' house. So some link you can find out. But it is nowhere in its own sign. So own sign is superior to exaltation whenever you're reading something like this in terms of goodness. So why is it that we make mistakes? Because you say Saturn is in my 5th house and Bhrigu and many astrologers told me I'll be childless, but look at me, I'm having children. So therefore astrology is unreliable. The reason is the same Bhrigu or the same rishis have added conditions. Like in all the books that our students quoted just now, everybody is talking a little, away from a particular point, but they are adding some conditions. Only if it is like this result. And look at the another result where it is not even planetary placement. If you marry again, then I will give you a child. If you don't marry again, then I cannot. Because naturally you'll be inclined to marry a person by power of fate, that you will go with one, the first wife will not produce, and to go through that tension of not. And then you produce a child through the second. So what is the result for if Saturn is in own house like this and then in the 5th?
Powerful Dana Yoga.
A lot of things, like it becomes 4th lord in the 5th house, it becomes 5th lord in the 5th. These are all good, okay, in several ways. But if it was the other way around, if it was, let's take the worst position. Can anybody come up with the worst position possible for Saturn?
Aries ascendant.
Aries ascendant. Okay. Okay. This could be the worst, right? This is how we started our discussion.
Even Sagittarius.
Okay.
Even
Okay.
Sagittarius.
So here comes a very interesting idea in astrology. In astrology, if you want to create your own logics and begin to even make your own inventions or something like that, always use the ascendant as Aries, because that is the ascendant for the whole world. Kalapurusha's ascendant, time personified as a human being. If the whole world was a human being, what would be its lagna? It will be Aries. And then put Saturn in the fifth and stare at Saturn. How is it? It is in the house of Sun.
Enemy.
Completely opposite. So this must be really bad. That's how you read it. See, for example, with the same ascendant, I place Jupiter in the ninth house, its own house. Now, from this, without reading a single book, can you now make a general reading about let Jupiter be anywhere in your horoscope? If Jupiter is in your ninth from any lagna, as long as it is in the ninth, it will give certain results. How to know what will be the result? Just give this result. That's all. What is here? Ninth Lord in the ninth. What do you expect ninth Lord in the ninth to be? Atheist or God-fearing? God-loving. So, like this, you should make some statements on Saturn in the fifth house. It is in the most afflicted point. Okay? So that is using Kalapurusha.
Sir, I have one question related to your previous chart, which you, I think, Scorpio ascendant. You predicted that childlessness for that person. Didn't you go to the concept of Bhavat Bhavam, where fifth was Jupiter, Saptamsha?
No. Okay, that's a very smart question. There were other reasons for this person. It was also in his Saptamsa. There are so many other things. But I just quoted this example because, say, when Sage Bhrigu said there is a possibility of a child because of a second marriage, and since I knew that this person is never going to have a second marriage, therefore I confirmed that he will not have. See, when you read a text with some conditions, and then you see that itself is enough. You don't have to go so much deeper. Another point is, when the consultation is being given, already 5 years have passed by and no children are there. So it is the nature itself, the events in life itself is telling that there is no child so far. You understand? Then the reading comes. Then they go to an astrologer or there's a discussion. Now, what do you think will happen? So already we got hint. And then we are predicting, and then we find some more afflictions. See, this is, there are so many other reasons why. But if you go there, it look like we cannot make statements just because of a planetary position. No. All the time, if somebody is asking me, you meet somebody on the street or in your social one club, I know you are an astrologer. I'm having Saturn in the fifth. What do you think? I don't know whether you'll have a child or not, because I have to see this chart, that chart, and I don't know whether maybe you'll have a child, maybe you'll not have. Can I talk like that? What will be your stance in such situations? No, I need to know the Sarvasvarga point in your fifth house. If it is very low, I want to know who is in your fifth house in Saptamsa, ninth house in Saptamsa. You are a man or a lady. I want to know where is your Kshetra Sputa. I want to know where is your Bija Sputa. But you can make some statements, right? Just by saying Saturn in the fifth. So Saturn in the fifth, the first word, childlessness, is always trying to be. When it is not only you need to look at explanations. That means if you have a child, then the thing is, I want to figure out why the person has a child. But in most cases, there will be childlessness or some problem with child. And many times you may not even know. These are all most of the times these are matters of secrecy. Not everybody will give up. Sometimes during my consultation, people have accepted, no, it's not my child, it's adopted. And how did you find out? I say, yeah, it's so easy to say that. But to the world, it will be their own child. Who's going to know? Okay. So don't bother about a single reading. How did I give it? But let's not deviate from what we are studying here. So why did he say if Saturn is in his own house, Bhrigu says, okay, at least daughters. Why is he not saying sons? So what is wrong? Do you think that this condition can give sons? How many of you feel this can give sons?
Daughters, Guruji, can give daughters, definitely.
Yeah, but is there a possibility that it can produce son?
Yeah, I mean, we have to look at other factors.
Only there you look at other factors. Because it is doing so well. Because if you look at the way the rishis have mentioned it, they're saying 2 daughters. Oh, you're having enough luck to produce 2 children. But it's only daughters. Why? In Indian environment, daughter is 1 step down. And sons are always bhagya. So if you have a defect, you get a daughter. And if you have too much of punya, you get sons. That was the general theory.
So can I say something, sir?
Yes.
So 5th Shani is also looking at 7th.
Yeah, we
7th
covered
is
that.
Second child. 7th is second child. So again, Shani is looking at 7th.
Oh, you want to say that? That's the reason why he says
sir.
2 daughters. Okay, good.
Yes, sir.
Very good. Nice point. I hope everybody understood what he said, what he meant by that. Okay, because Saturn's 5th house, the next child of the 5th house is the 7th house. So it is looking at the next child after this child. Okay, very nice point. Okay. Anything else you want to say? Anybody else have any other book, source, or even if you don't want to quote an ancient book? Yeah.
Guruji, I have a Tamil ancient book, Guruji, with your kind permission.
Please go ahead.
So this is a book written based on the sage called Pulipani.
Pulipani, yes.
Jodhiram. Okay.
Correct.
So specifically for Saturn in the 5th house, he has given a lengthy Tamil shloka, but I will only read the English version because I don't know how to read Tamil. Forgive me for that. And he says, in the 5th house, if Saturn is in the 5th house, he will be worried. He will be shunting between his country and foreign country. Longevity will be medium and body will be lean. Children will be well off, but they will go away. If benefics aspect Saturn, native will be an officer, will enjoy the friendship of well-to-do people. And if the Dasa Bhukti is favorable, he will acquire wealth. So study the strength of Saturn and give these results for Saturn in 5th. Now, the explanation given by Mr. Nakirar, the author of this translation, he says, Saturn in the 5th house is not desirable. He will give mental worry, lean constitution, not stable either in his own place or in a foreign place, and regarding the children that we're talking about, and the children will desert him. If Saturn is aspected by benefics, he will have a good status, good position, and the company of VIPs, provided the running Dasa Bhukti is also favorable.
Very good.
Thank you, Guruji.
Okay. Now, how many of you feel that right now we got something where it is not so negative, right? It doesn't appear to be like that. For people who are awaiting children and you have most of the rishis saying no children, and then suddenly you read Sage Pulipani's book and say, no, this author seems to be kinder and more generous. He says no problem at all. Actually, it is not correct, because when the rishi writes something about positive statements, it usually means positive situations for that graha that is being discussed. Because in the same paragraph, in one single paragraph, where Sage Bhrigu talks, first he says no children and then says so many other reasons, and then finally says 2 daughters. Why is he changing? Obviously, because dignity of Saturn, affliction of Saturn. So when you read another book which seems to contradict, you should not say it is contradictory signs. You should say this author, when he wrote that line, was hinting at some beneficial positions and dignity of that graha. And the other astrologer, other rishi, when he said something negative, he is talking about the negative position of the same planet. So by combining both, you will have a good database of all possibilities. So for this, you need to know more and more about planetary influence. What if Rahu is along with Saturn? What if it's arch rival, completely opposite, mutual enemy? Sun is also along with Saturn. It will change everything, right? It will change everything. For example,
Guruji,
this
week I read a chart where the person was asking, where the grandmother was asking, will this daughter-in-law get a child? And she had Saturn in the 5th. Do you want me to share the chart?
Yeah, okay. How many years since marriage?
4 or 5 years, probably.
Okay. Then it is worth reading it. So I will stop here. Since we are not able to do 9th house, in the next session, we'll do 9th house. Just a second.
Guruji, regarding our discussion today, most of it was based on children karakas, but looking at Pulipani, he is also hinting at other karakatwas of Saturn, which we might not have done justice fully.
Yeah, but I think in the beginning, okay, because you say Sage Bhrigu didn't cover all of that. Okay.
Why are they only hinting about the progeny part, and Pulipani is hinting about 360 degrees aspect of Saturn, whereas others are looking only at a narrow point? Was it because of Saturn linking with renunciation?
No, it is like, to tell you the truth about all this, Kishore, is that when the documentation happened, it will not be entirely what the Rishi said. Many things would have been missed out. It doesn't mean if something was not stated, that was not the opinion of the Rishi. You understand? Whatever we got, it's like today's class, whatever I say is because I'm limited in this time, that I'm only able to taste this much. So tomorrow you cannot quote that day when we were discussing Saturn in the 5th. These were not at all told by, let's say if you call me Guruji, did not discuss this. It doesn't mean that I have not subscribed to that. It is not exactly that. It is just that I didn't mention it. That's all. It doesn't mean, obviously, it doesn't mean that I don't support and I don't stand with other statements. I can still say something else. Because when you said about worry, mind, because 5th house is house of mind, intelligence, our intellect. And Saturn is called Dukkha Karaka. So Saturn in the 5th is one minus. Suppose you have Saturn and Moon in the 5th house, you'll be always sad. Because Saturn in the 5th is hinting, because 5th house is house of Buddhi, and Saturn is the Dukkha Karaka. So, when Sage Pulipani wrote, he had that in mind when he wrote it. Okay, it's like that. So, in fact, all of us can go beyond the books also, provided we are very sure about the fundamentals and tell a lot of things that the rishis have not said. But at the same time, a good approach by all our students is to always first stick to the basics and then expand from there. Always go with the fundamentals and then create your own. It is like in your chess game, you have some standard ways of opening the game, right? Convention. There always, if this only should be done, otherwise you will be in trouble zone. But to what level do you have those things? After that, it's not there, right?
No, beyond a certain range.
Beyond a certain range, you don't have.
No, you're asked to break the rules actually. Only then
you break the rules. You can think about something else which was not at all, something that people expect. You'll suddenly give up your queen, and God knows why you are giving it up. You wanted to experiment with this and that, and then finally you might win or lose. Like that in astrology, we can start with the fundamental and try to stick as much as possible for our initial opinion about the horoscope only with the conventional text given by the sages. After that, you can think about it. Why did Sage Pulipani say that? I will tell you one thing. You know, I've met so many people in my consultation where Saturn in the 5th, late marriage. You know why? Because it looks at the 7th and delays marriage. It wants to delay children, and to delay children and to delay marriage. So most of the people who had delayed marriage always had Saturn in the 5th. And the reason is Saturn is looking at the 7th house of marriage with its 3rd house drishti. You experiment with astrology like this. Somebody comes and tells you, my daughter or son is not yet married. Don't ask them date of birth. Nothing. Simply say, I think Saturn is in ascendant or Saturn is in the 7th. It should be at least this condition in the Navamsha. That's all. And they'll say, wow, how did you know that? Now, that is what is astrology. You should be able to say, no, I don't know. How can I guess? It's not possible at all. Like that. So if you attempt like this, then you will grow very fast. Okay, now let Sai Prahlad share that case study that he went through.
Sir, first of all, I would like to thank you very much that you are allowing outsider like us, like I'm not your regular student, but you have allowed me to join this. Very grateful, sir.
Oh, okay. I didn't understand that. I thought I did not know who is the regular student and who came suddenly to this session. What happened was when I posted this link on YouTube, I forgot to select only members. So only later I realized I didn't click on that button. So you are fated to listen to this today.
Yeah, that's my good fate, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay. Prahlad, please continue.
Prahlad, the chart is.
Yeah,
am I sharing my screen?
Yeah, it's perfect. It's perfect. I can see it clear.
I know something little about the person, not much. If anybody wants to make, analyze the chart and make predictions, that'd be great.
Very good.
And
okay, then we'll use the raise your hand idea.
Also, the children part, stack up, it will be nice.
Stack up method, or at least something that we know we read today. Okay. We studied today. Who goes first? With this, we'll wind up because it's going to be 10 o'clock. And we will come back for in the next session, we will do Saturn the 9th. Okay. Anything, everybody can add 1 point. And even if you're not talking, type it out. In the chat, it will be recorded with your name. A very interesting point, just to get, to save time, is Saturn is actually in the 4th Rashi, but it moved into the 5th in the Bhava chart. Shows the importance of Bhava chart. Okay. So where is Saturn?
Saturn is hemmed between two malefics, Mars and Ketu.
No, the question I asked, where is Saturn? Saturn is not in the 4th, it is in the 5th. How to calculate that? You have to look at Lagna degree. 11 degrees. 11 plus 15 is how much? 26. Anything greater than 26 will go to the next house. That's all. Simple way. So therefore, in the Bhava chart, in the 2nd chart, right in the middle of the page, middle of the photo, you see daily, what is that? House chart, equal house. And then in that, you see Saturn in the 5th house. Do you see anybody else in the 5th?
Venus, Ketu.
Venus in 5th. Ketu in the 5th. Ketu. Anybody wants to say anything about Ketu in the 5th?
Moksha Karaka, Guruji. Wants to...
No. Kishorji, do not change the context.
Oh, okay.
Because the astrology is only context. All the time, only context.
Ketu is a graha for separation.
Severe Putra Dosha.
Ketu is Putra Dosha, right? Why? How do we know that? Sage Bhrigu says, Naga Pratishtya Putra Prapti. If you do Naga Pratishtha only, you will get child. So to that extent, it is a problem. What about Venus? What is wrong with Venus here? Anybody wants to attempt?
Seventh Lord,
He's
sir.
the 12th Lord.
Seventh Lord and fifth.
Very bad. Another thing, one more reason, very close.
11th Lord.
12th Lord in 5th.
12th Lord in 5th.
12th Lord. 12th Lord.
Can anybody quickly read what Parashara said about 12th Lord in the 5th?
Will be bereft of sons and learning.
Little more, something else?
As well as, he will spend as well as visit shrines in order to beget a son.
What does that mean?
Expenses, sir.
For what?
To get sons. To get the
To
children.
get the child.
So what does that indirectly mean?
Possibility of doing parihara to get the child.
Yeah. But when will you do all this? When you don't have a child? Anything else catches your attention?
Venus exalted.
Then Venus is exalted.
No. It doesn't matter. I told you, even in several classes, I said, exaltation, all this doesn't count the lordship houses. They count more than that because that is specific to the horoscope. Whereas Venus is exalted for all the people in the world for that one full month. In English, every Tom, Dick and Harry will have Venus exalted.
Fifth Lord in its own house, sir.
Fifth Lord in its own house.
As Jupiter in the second, its own house. Fifth Lord.
Okay. So there's a
Saturn
chance.
aspecting the moon, sir. Saturn aspecting the moon.
Saturn aspecting the moon.
Wrong.
How did you connect moon to what? What is the logic here in the context?
More, he will do better if he goes spirituality side.
Anu, please do not
okay.
go away
I
from
think
the
it's the-
context.
Oh, okay,
Sir,
okay. Sorry, sir.
Sir, fifth Lord, Jupiter in second. According to BPHS, native will have many sons and wealth.
So then what happened? What went wrong? That should work, right?
Sir, Ketu, does it mean male child?
Ketu, male child. Is Ketu male?
Typically, I've seen, I think 4 or 5 charts where fifth Ketu is there and they have one male child, at least one.
Sir, even ninth Lord is being affected, sir. Moon.
Why?
Aspect is there, and it's in Rahu Ketu axis.
Yeah, but it's
Anything
not
else?
very close.
No, anything else about the moon and Saturn? Anything which comes to your attention?
Almost 100% aspect.
Almost 100%. How did you find almost 100%?
Yeah, because it's 29 degrees and 0 degrees.
Zero
Yes.
degrees.
0 degrees. Yep.
Very good. Not many people who can find out that, right? Only those of you who did my beginner's course can understand that. How 29 degrees and 0 degrees. Okay, it's 100%. Okay. Prahlad, always put everything into 100%. You kept it at 60%, I think. Virupas, 60 Virupas an aspect. We have an option of making it 100 because I told you in the class that our mind works with 100.
Yes, Guruji. Actually, I'm on a different device, and so I forgot to calibrate the settings.
Okay. You can change it later. Okay. Okay, that is one point. Anything else that catches your attention?
Sir, can we say in Jupiter Mahadasha starting in 2035, there is a possibility that children will be there because of the fifth Lord and second and in Mula Trikona sign?
This is a lady, right? So age will be advanced. 39, huh? She'll be.
39.
Guruji, no. This is very young. She's 196. There's still time.
Yeah, but Jupiter the Dasha starts only at age of 39.
Oh, okay. That's too long.
Has anybody noticed how many points she got in Sarvasha Varga in 5th house?
20, sir. Less. Very less.
It's so many people in the class, at least one should notice it, right? There are 46 students. Maybe 45 students.
I did note it down in the charts.
Very good, Deepa. Congratulations. So in the stack up, we need to find out as many as possible. Okay. Has this person done Naga Pratishtha? Prahlad?
No, Guruji. First thing I said is you have to do Naga Pratishtha and go visit temples and as well as our doctors.
The temples and doctors is coming from 12th Lord in the 5th. Spend on. Doctors will take a lot of money, right?
And I also asked them to give the husband's chart, because if we read by the current reading, Saturn in the 5th house can also mean the first. But Jupiter connection is not there. So I guess you can ignore that. But still, I've asked for the husband.
Did anybody notice in Saptamsa, the Lord of the 5th, the divisional chart for children, is in the 8th house? And Sri K.N. Rao's discovery that if the 9th has a malefic in Saptamsa, it is a delay of children. This person has got Ketu in the 9th. Ketu is adamant. It's standing there without moving. From the basic chart up to the D7 chart. It's not moving at all. Okay. As an additional input, the 5th and the 9th from Navamsha Lagna is also having Ketu and Saturn. Additional input. But the main thing about this is the presence of Lagna Lord in D7 afflicted by Rahu and Ketu once again. It's somehow clinging on, okay, to the same point. Even though the moon is on this side in Kanya, in D7 it went to Pisces, just the opposite sign, somehow got connected to the Rahu Ketu axis. 9th house Ketu. 9th house Rahu, 9th house Ketu, 9th house malefics in D7, please watch out. Okay. Ask them to do go to orphanage also, Prahlad.
Yes, Guruji. I mean, they are, but can anybody say how the person will be? Like, will they be from a rich family or be rich? Anything?
Why do you want to know all that?
No, I mean, I know the person a little bit, not much.
Okay, no. Let's not change the topic. We always stick to, because we are all engrossed in this one topic. Okay. So
also, 9th Lord in D1 is having a 100% aspect from Mars.
9th Lord?
In D1 is having 100% aspect from Mars, 8th aspect.
9th Lord. Oh.
Yes.
Mars is perfectly aspecting the moon.
So that 9th house D7, it's delay, not denial, right, sir?
No. Kendra almost hints at denial. If you have other conditions, it's one of the reasons for denial. In my horoscope reading, I found out, but actually we cannot conclude our denial because there's always an opportunity in today's world that you spend a lot of money with doctors, they'll find their own ways to reverse it. There are a lot of techniques to overcome these barriers. Even people go up to, surrogacy also, taking the egg and the sperm and letting it grow in another mother's womb. So many things can be done. So even though in astrology you can attempt to say no childlessness, but one should not give up. Why should we give up? You should try as much as you can to change karma. And to change karma, you need to understand what went wrong. You were bad with children, you killed children, you aborted children. That's why having Rahu Ketu on 5th house. You tell them go to the orphanage and do prayashchit, like that. Then you should always say, if you do these things, you will get child. Why should you say no children? I mean, that is something where you're just not going to do anything about it, right? It's like looking into my mark sheet and saying, I know for sure you will fail. I mean, that's not a nice way of doing astrology.
Guruji, okay, thanks for your point. I'll ask her to build an orphanage because they can do it.
She's so rich. Yeah, so rich. Okay.
No, she married into a family who's very rich. Hundreds, thousands of crores.
Actually, I'm against starting new orphanages because the existing orphanages, if you supply help, that is enough, because running an orphanage is no joke. Because if they start one and then they neglect it, even for that, they'll get punished. So you should be very sure that you will do it well. Otherwise, you should not start. Whereas existing things, it's so easy to support it. You'll have to walk around 5-10 orphanages, directly go and give to children, and quickly a miracle will happen and they'll get a child.
So that means Jupiter in second house is working, sir. Second and second.
As a lady, you are very emotional. You want the child to come very quickly. Okay, so you're saying it has already worked. Very nice. That's a very positive way of saying. Even though it has not yet happened, she's saying it has already worked. Okay. Yeah, that's how we should always look at. Even if Jupiter is not looking at it, I would still say, if Jupiter is not in its own sign, I'd still say don't give up. Don't give up ever. Even when Maharshi says Akala Marana, premature death, he doesn't give up. He says, do all these things and try to get extension only. Why should we give up? Then what is God for? What is prayer for? What is remedies for? Okay. So many things you can do. Another thing, Prahlad, you can ask her to wear yellow sapphire to strengthen the 5th house and not wear diamonds at all. Because if she wear diamonds, most probably because she's rich, she might be wearing a lot of diamonds, which can escalate the 7th in the 5th and 12th in the 5th.
Okay, Guruji, thank you.
Okay.
Guruji, there's one feature in Jagannath Hora which I discovered.
Okay.
And that is it's called as the house strength, Guruji. It is not obvious. It's not in the open. We have to dig it out.
Bhavabala.
Yeah, Bhavabala.
Yeah, Bhavabala is very common. One of the things in strength calculations, like how we use Sarvashtra Varga, the Bhava Lord strength, the Bhava Bala separately, there is a very good formula given by Maharshi Parashara. All that will go into stack-up method. The more and more evidence you can find out.
Okay, but here, in this case, the 5th house is not having a weakness. It is the 10th house that's having the weakness and the 10th lord that's having a weakness. Okay. So does it mean that there is a cat on the wall situation? They may beget children with difficulty?
Already it is delayed. I think most probably they are to.
No, but they're still in the age where they can beget.
Very young. So, and moreover, they come to Prahlad. So Prahlad won't keep quiet. He will influence them to do the remedies. And there it will work anyway.
The other day, Prahlad gave a prediction and that was bang on target. It's about the Pisacha Yoga. Just wanted to mention that. Yeah.
Okay.
Sir, even Ketu is at the border of border, sir, 26 degrees.
Just on the border, cat on the wall. Okay.
Just it should, otherwise the Ketu will be in 6th house, sir. Just in some minutes.
No,
it stays.
But Pavani, at that point, you should not, treat Ketu lightly, because even if it's the edge of the Bhava, it is in its Rashi, it is in Rashi number 5. So whenever a graha is in Rashi one number and in Bhava also one number, even if it's at the edge, it will still mean why did this planet come to the 5th house for this person? And why did it not escape into the 6th?
Keep into the 6th. Yeah.
Yeah, it is not. It is not managed to get into the 6th. That is a point here. So it proves the dosha.
It's Vargotama in Navamsha. So it's in the 5th.
That way. No, that is not called Vargotama. But it is repeating in Navamsha also, like that you can say. Because Navamsha is slightly connected to children indirectly, because even in Jaimini Sutras about children, they have connected it to Navamsha. And also because Navamsha is marriage, and marriage and children are heavily linked. It's because of that we have used it. Otherwise, it's not a good practice to use logics like this. Only because we saw 5, 1, 5, 9 Navamsha covered by malefics like Mars, Ketu, Saturn, it is adding to this problem. So maybe since they are very rich, it can be easily changed, because they can afford to take care of children, and then they can get the best doctors, and they can try everything that is there and somehow get a child.
Sir, I have one question, sir. Sir, since we say Saturn is a dukkha karaka and represents sorrow and all those negative things, which out of all the 12 bhavas, which are the more preferable or least negative positions for Saturn? Can we say Upachaya positions like 3, 6, 11? Or
the best is 11th.
11th, okay.
The best is 11th, but after that, okay, 10th is okay, depending upon how dignified it is. 6 is also okay, but 3 is not that good because it can give a lot of vata, a lot of pain in the body, suffering. So 6, 10, and 11, definitely good. Saturn.
Okay.
Okay, so we have come to 10:10. 10:10 AM is very popular now. It's 10:10 PM.
About UL. Second from UL is Rahu. What will happen? Because that is one of the reasons why I asked for the husband's chart, because second from UL was Rahu.
No, according to me, my experience, I feel that the man should go for a test with from the sperm count and all that.
Yes, Guruji, I feel the same.
Yeah.
Because Saturn, that story of 5th is coming.
Especially because it is also the 7th lord in the 5th. So
yeah,
maybe he must do one consultation. And then, meanwhile, since they're well off, they have the opportunity to reverse it as quickly as possible by taking care of many children. Let them do it. Okay, you can stop sharing
There
the
are
screen.
good aspects on 5th house also, sir. Moon and Jupiter.
Very good. Okay.
So can I ask one question, sir? Sorry, this itself is a bonus for me, but I'm trying to steal something from you, sir.
Yeah. We have hundreds of material available already. We can go through the videos that we have done. So many sessions we have already done.
Yes, sir. I follow you, sir.
Yeah.
My question is with respect to twins, sir. In case of twins, 7th house is already utilized for the second children that come as part of the twins, or 7th house will be for the next delivery?
Yeah, because it happened at one time, so it will not be counted as 7th. It will be only 5th. Okay. So the next child, the next pregnancy will be 7th. But all this is only one extra point. It is never the 7th or 9th or anything. It is always only the 5th house. All the time. Okay, but why they wanted to find difference for the next child, then they came up with this idea. But in truth, suppose you have a man has a severe 5th house affliction, and just contrary to the Putra dosha, he was blessed with 3 sons. You know that. So most of our students know this story. So every time I told him you're having Putra dosha, he used to laugh it off. Okay. Only when his second son committed suicide, he took it seriously.
Yeah.
It is horrible to light the fire of one's own son, right?
Yeah.
So then you say it is better I don't have a child. Okay. So Putra dosha or any dosha like this, everything has to be taken seriously only from the 5th house. You cannot change first child is 5th house, second child is 7th house and things like that. Once you have Putra dosha, you have it on all over the place. And it depends on whichever child's horoscope is weak, it will go through that child. So please don't use this 5, 9, 11, 5, 9. What is that? 5, 7, then 9 and 11 and so on like that. It's in those days, my great grandmother had 16 children. So it has to go round and round like this for all the. Okay. So let's call it a day or call it a night. So end of session. As usual, our Prahlad will launch his rocket.
Good night, sir.
Sir, one more point, sir. The second lord in second is bereft of progeny is also there, sir.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
That is it in BPHS.
BPHS. It is there in BPHS.
Yeah.
One of the hints at Putradosh. Yeah. So type it out quickly. I'll wait because it's going to get recorded.
Not.
Pavani can type it out.
Sir, it's already night around 2:30 here, sir. I'll be logging off. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Now this person, so many afflictions. Guruji, I was thinking since the 8th Lord was in the second, she will probably inherit all the wife's family's wealth.
Yeah, see, one of the things that Maharishi himself said, if second house has Jupiter in its own sign, it is even exempt from Karko Bhavanashya. And he has said in one sloka that it is one of the signs for great wealth. If Jupiter is in the second, because people always think Karaka in Bhava is bad, but he has exempted it. And using the example that what if a person is Vrishchika Lagna and Jupiter happens to be in its Mula Trikona own house, please do not confuse it. But I think you can also use the other logic that it is a fifth lord in the second, other than just the second lord in the second. Understand? Fine. I think by now everybody would have typed out whatever you wanted to type, your feedback. If you want to thank somebody, you want to thank Sai Prahlad, thank Ashwath, Manjuna,
Prahlad, was it a love marriage?
Yes.
Okay.
No, you should say, why did you say that? Because others can learn.
Seventh Lord and fifth. That's
I was about to ask that.
Seventh Lord and the fifth. Who made that rule very popular in modern times?
K.N. Rao, sir?
No, B.V. Raman.
Okay, sir.
K.N. Rao was a great student of B.V. Raman. K.N. Rao compiled a book, 350 accurate predictions by Dr. B.V. Raman. Okay.
T-3.
Yeah, okay.
2, 1.
Is it not
0.
the other way around? 7th and 5th you wrote love marriage.
5th and 7th, 7th and 5th, both same.
See, some even say when there is a Kura Grahas on the 5th, the marriage, it will be like a love marriage.
Unconventional, because Rahu Ketu is unconventional.
Yes.
After a long time, I'm seeing Dr. Avani. Long time, she has not come.
Thank you for acknowledging.
How's your career going? Your profession?
Yeah, it's okay. Starting, many challenges.
Okay. It will be there in every walk of life. Everybody is being challenged,
Yeah.
But when we go through challenges, we see, we fail to see that others are also going through challenges. And then we always tell, I've met many people in consultation. They'll say, God, I have only one prayer to God. I'll ask, what is it? I will only pray to God like this. God, don't give the same trouble that you gave me to anybody else. Anybody else will die. Only I can survive. I heard this from at least 500 people so far.
Mm.
You know why? Because because that's the reason is only you are living and you are the only one who you know. And so everybody else is outsider. So you feel that I am the one who's suffering the most.
Mm.
And the best part of it is, even the man who has got all the money in this world will say the same thing. He will say, what is the use of all this money? I can't sleep. So nobody is, seems to be. So
you feel the same, sir?
Obviously. How can I be different? Only if I'm enlightened, I won't feel like that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's not always true, because sometimes I laugh it off also. Okay. Only if you are having some knowledge about spirituality, you can think like that.
Mm.
Okay.
Astrology helps in it.
It's not astrology, it is only about the philosophies of India. But then Sri Krishna says, you shouldn't overact this. You know everything. That all this is not true. You cannot look at something dying and say there is no death, because Krishna said there is no death. At that moment, you should be, you should respect that others are sad. Okay, bye.